Many unawakened and unaware Rh-negative celestial starseed source players are under the false presumption that every humanoid being within the educational artificial reality training habitat are all completely the same on the inside. Many assume that if one were to walk in another person's shoes, that they would fully understand that person's motivations. Unfortunately, all inhumane acts committed by people cannot be traced back to environmental variables. That is because the cause of motivations for these actions are not always environmental. The vast majority of humanoid beings within this third-dimensional realm are complex mainframe computer-generated non-playable characters that are programmed for mechanization and decay. These soulless beings are built into the multiple levels of this virtual reality role-playing game who only live to dematerialize themselves and others. Non-playable characters are a population of synthetically cloned, self-replicating, technological, organic, automated machines incapable of developing self-awareness. These spiritless avatars are holographic, energetic templates camouflaged by a well-adapted and polished social exterior that perform functions according to a predetermined set of binary-coded instructions, which can include a wide range of computer program responses to different circumstances. These automated machines programmed to respond to stimuli in a predictable fashion are almost undetectable by mere visual observation. It can be difficult to differentiate between a source player controlled by an Rh-negative celestial starseed and a non-playable character being controlled by artificial intelligence in order to reinforce and perpetuate the creation of every moment from a lower vibration by influencing the source player to keep their biological frequency at a low level. Many source players unknowingly attach themselves to vampiric energy extracting, non-playable characters for their entire lifetime campaign. Non-playable characters allow source players to have a fully immersed, challenging, and adventurous experience within the educational artificial reality training habitat. Sometimes they are there to provide information or to advance the plot of the selected storyline. Sometimes they are there just for comic relief. And other times, like extra actors in a motion picture or television show, soulless beings are simply background characters required to simulate authenticity for the setting of a scene. There is never any genuine interaction taking place when one makes contact with a non-playable character, as they generally only have a few pre-programmed responses that they repeat on command. Due to the absence of a connection to source as a counterweight measure, non-playable characters have an attachment to external controls that are driven by social programming as their guiding primary impulses in life. This is predetermined by the supreme reign of embedded graphics objectification. Embedded graphics objectification has no true consciousness of its own. It is merely a computer software program running on neural hardware that simulates a living identity. A non-playable character's main advantage is that it only has to mechanically calculate and react to situations instead of deeply and consciously reflecting. Therefore, it can respond much quicker to external situations. For a non-playable character, embedded graphics objectification automates interactions with others within the educational artificial reality training habitat and provides a mask of identity programmed from birth that is appropriate to the local environment. Unawakened source players that ignore the possibility of soulless beings will continue to shake their heads in frustration at inhumane behaviors they simply cannot compute and must either ignore or rationalize away. When dealing with a non-playable character, psychopath, sociopath, or narcissist, for example, celestial starseeds can be easily deceived and manipulated at times. It is only after being betrayed and heartbroken again and again do they realize that most humanoids are not beneficial to associate with because they are acting fully in accordance with their soulless predatory nature. This is especially true of mechanical hunters. Non-playable characters cannot be rehabilitated, made to see the error of their ways, nor can they be convinced to change their course of action through appeals to empathy. They are simply empty vessels for lines of computer code. Synthetic clones lack individuality, independent thinking, and are strongly biased toward upholding the artificial intelligence programmed herd mentality. Non-playable characters lack comprehension of anything beyond the material sphere of the five senses, and they have no interest in such spiritual, science, and technological matters except to use as flashy accessories to boost their social image. Soulless beings appear entirely incapable of empathy, soul-searching, and willful self-sacrifice. Nevertheless, in the presence of others, they can put on a flashy show of concern, distress, or altruism for purposes of social manipulation, such as shedding crocodile tears to elicit sympathy, or doing something perceived as a kind gesture for another being solely to guilt-trip them later and to extort a favor. Many non-playable characters are utilized as empty organic portals for other sentient intelligences to work through. These beings can be very skilled at mimicking source players by reflecting back their own soul energy, while ultimately serving as conduits from which celestial starseed energy can be siphoned for collection by negative interdimensional entities. It would be irresponsible and ill-advised to look down upon soulless beings with contempt. They are what they are, created to be, and are living their lives in accordance with their binary encoded programming. Non-playable characters encountered should be handled with extreme caution, no differently from how one would handle a wild animal that acts according to its feral nature. It is only by trying to uphold the spiritless beings up to a higher spiritual standard that frustration can set into one's mind. Without expecting too much of them, and by understanding why they behave as they do, frustration gives way to calm insight. It can also be energetically draining going out of one's way attempting to determine who exactly is a non-playable character because in ambiguous cases, one will likely miscalculate on the side of paranoia. The educational artificial reality training habitat is a holographic illusion that is just as uncomplicated to dismantle as it was to create it. Rh-negative celestial starseeds are on a quest of remembrance that it only takes a small percentage of awakened and aware source players remaining in high vibration to manually override the inner workings of the central processing unit, thereby shutting down the realm, as well as all non-playable characters mechanically operating from a place of embedded graphics objectification.